Hello, welcome to Board Game Cavern's review of Ex Libris. This game comes out later this month. I managed to grab this copy from Gen Con, and it's really fun. It's a library-themed 1 to 4 player game where you're competing to become the Grand Librarian of the village. So this is Ex Libris. You're a collector of rare and valuable books in a thriving fantasy village. The mayor is looking for a new Grand Librarian, which could be you if you build the greatest bookshelf in all the land with you and either 1 to 4 players. So we're going to play a 1 player, just 1 round through just to see how it's laid out. This is the basics. Your draw piles are over here. These are the locations. Okay. Diviner's Hut is always first because it's number 1. These numbers are the order in which you will resolve each particular area. And then I've chosen the Haunted House of Learning with the cute little ghost and 3 little assistants whom I will send out to gather books to make the greatest library in town. Now, there's 6 categories of books. You're supposed to shuffle these, and these are the various, you're going to go through these 1 at a time at the very end of the game, and this is how you score it, which you then put on your little score sheet, and these are the categories here. So, that's the orientation. Now, we need to pick deal 1 category. We'll take this top one. Reference text will be our prominent works. The player with the most reference text gets 15 extra points. Next is 9, and then third in place gets 4. Now, fantastical fiction has been banned by the mayor, so you get -1 for every fantastical fiction in your shelf. We pull 1 more. Historical volumes. Now what I would do is put this face down next to me here, where it says 2X. But of course I know what it is, so I'm going to put it up. So every historical volume, Haunted House of Learning gets to double the number of points. The rest go in the box. All right, we deal 6 cards to each player out of our library stacks here. These are books that already exist. Now what I'm trying to do is shelve these books. As you can see, I like to be in order here. So B, F, S, S. Now you've got not only, so a lot of information on these cards. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, you've got your letter. You've got 4 out of 10. So this is the 4th B out of 10. So not only do the letters have to be in order, they have to be in order 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10 in B. So we've got 3 out of 6 F. S, I have 7 out of 10 and 9 out of 10. So those would fit in order. And then W, I've got 6 out of 8 and 8 out of 8. So they would go like that. So the goal is to get these all laid down. Now, every card has a series of hilarious book titles, which you can read when you're waiting for other players to go, because they're pretty entertaining. But they've also got a corresponding color-based icon, which is one of the 6 categories here. So I'm trying to go for historical volumes and reference text for sure. I want to avoid fantastical fiction, which I have 2 of here, and it's just something to think about when you're laying books down. They call it shelving in this game. So when you put a book down on your bookshelf, it's called shelving. All right. So first player goes first. That's just me. I can take my 4 players, including the ghost, and you put, oh, sorry, I should have grabbed 1 location, put it on top. You need 2 locations. Well, you need 1 location per player, but 2 when you're playing alone. So this is a number 4, donation center. Discard 1 or more cards, then shelve up to 2 cards in your hand. Now what happens is these locations are going to add up here in the permanent locations area, and they're going to continue to multiply, and everybody's going to get to use them. So the number of spaces, these are where you're going to put your assistants. So starting with player 1, I'm going to take an assistant, and I'm going to put it on, well, I can't put the ghost on Diviner's Hut because he tells me I can't. So we're going to put our assistant here, and then the next player would put their assistant on their library card to score 1 card or shelve 1 card, or on these other cards. Boom, boom, boom. In this case, you just go around the room and you keep doing them until you are fresh out of your little icons, your little assistants. Okay, that's the end. Then you start to score them based on the numbers. So here we're going to start with 1. Diviner's Hut is always first. Draw 1 card for every assistant you have placed. Take the first player token. I placed 4 assistants, so I take that back. I draw 1 card for every, so I get 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, more B's, more S's. That's good. That means I didn't shuffle well. G, and S. 5 out of 5, 5, 7, 9, S out of 10. Oh yeah, just gotta shelf these. Okay. And then we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4 is the other one. Discard one or more cards, then shelve up to 2 cards from your hand. So I'm going to discard Q, just because I want to. Discard one or more cards. That's a good way to get rid of cards. Then shelve up to 2 cards from your hand. I want to shelve at the very bottom. I'm going to put W 6 out of 8 and W 8 out of 8. Chances are rare I'm going to get a W 7 out of 8 to put in the middle. And you can't move them once you do it. So here's how you build a shelf, okay? What you want to do is build, I'm going to jump ahead here. You're going to build 2 across, 2 down. That's a rectangle. That can score, so that counts. Now, when you read the rules, they tell you, and they also tell you right here, you earn 1 point per card in your bookshelf that's in their largest stable group. This is a stable group, so we would earn 4. You can go up to 3 high. So let's say if I had B 2 out of 4, be 4 out of 10, or 2 out of 10 and 4 out of 10 right here like that. That's a stable shelf. That is 6 points. Now, you cannot play diagonally, and you cannot play more than 4 high. But you can play anywhere you want. In this case, 7 out of 10, 9 out of 10, I'm going to play 5 out of 10 S. So that's a logical order. Now, sometimes you're forced to play a card because you can't quite fit it in. So let's say I had to play an F up here. Then at the end of the game, you go through and you flip the cards that don't match, alphabetically throughout here. So the only ones is all B, S, W. The only one F is not before B, so you flip it over. Now, the cool thing is, let's say I had a card here, a G, which is wrong too. If you flip it over, it still counts as stability. It's still holding your bookshelf up. So this is actually 9 points. And that is how that works. All right? And you keep going around. And at the very end, you're going to go ahead and score based on these, alphabetical order. You get a number. Shelf stability, 9 points. How many reference texts? That's going to be, look at the icon. So I have 1, 2, 3. So I have the most, obviously. So 15 more points. Banned books, fantastical fiction, 1, 2, 3, 4 icons, so -4. Then they give you a categorical variety. You earn 3 points for every book in your bookshelf of the category you have the least of. So whatever I have the least of, I actually get 3 more points for each one. It's a little balancing trick they do. And then the focus, that's over here. So my focus was historical volumes. So I would look at historical, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I get to double that, that's 8. So that's the total adding up. And that is the end of the game. And that was Ex Libris. I like being a librarian. That was fun. So let's talk about the pluses and minuses. On the plus side, you've got the really unique theme. I've never played a game with a librarian or book theme before. You've got gorgeous artwork, as we'd expect from Renegade Game Studios. They make good stuff. The cards are just phenomenal. They've got 3 or 4 books on each one, all of which have a unique title. So they've done these clever puns and wordplay, and you'll have fun just reading the spines. You don't have to read the spines to play it, but it adds a little element, especially if you're waiting for somebody else's turn to come around or whatnot. Another plus is the variety. I love the different aspects of librarian that you can be: a ghost, a robot, like cool little wooden pieces. The theme is fantastic. I really enjoyed it. On the minus side, you've got a lot of very small text on all of the cards. So every round you're bringing out 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the number of players, new locations, and everybody's going to lean in and try to read that little text in the bottom corner. Of course, the more you play it, the more you'll be familiarized with that, and everyone won't have to do that, and you'll understand. But it gets a little overwhelming, especially to a more novice player, when you've got the 2 cards, then the highest card moves up into the permanent locations, and so those keep building, plus you're adding 2 more each round, so you're trying to track all of that information. Another thing I'll throw in the minus category, it may not be a minus for you, but I ended up so focused on trying to keep the stability and keep the letters in order that I ended up almost neglecting the symbols on each card, and whether I needed to get this certain symbol and the banned books, keep away from those. that came into play later. So at the very end, when you're scoring, it's almost a surprise, which is fun. Is fun as well. But if you like to have control, if you were trying to control your game and how it's going, there's a bit of lack of control there. So there it is. So that's Ex Libris. I actually really enjoyed this game. I think you might want to seek it out when it comes out in a couple weeks. My name is Brooks, Board Game Cavern, recommended. Please subscribe and we'll see you at the next video. Thank you. Cavern.